Longtime Browns beat reporter Tony Grossi asked about the possibility of the Browns trading back.
Tony, you're thinking right now maybe they move down and take Freeling.
Yeah, but you can't guarantee it. I mean, if they could run, we could maneuver that mock draft
however we want.
Yeah, to get Freeling, you're going to have to be, anywhere from 8 to 15. Now, what do you do? Do you do it with your 24th pick, or do you do it with your 6th pick?
So down from 6 or up from 24.
Yes.
I don't know. It just depends on what opportunities. But do you think they have on the tackle board Monroe Freeling as the best one in this draft now? This is the guy from Georgia.
Aaron,
He's huge.
Aaron, please stop trying to fit square pegs in round holes.
Hey, he's got that Georgia background too.
Jesus God.
Anyone from Georgia, you got to have an asterisk above it.
If you like Monroe Freeling at 8, take him at 6. The one thing I will say, Todd Monken at the Combine is familiar with Freeling, helped to recruit him at Georgia. It was kind of when he was on his way out. He can pick up the phone and find out everything you want to know about it because he has that kind of relationship with Kirby Smart.
You certainly can. And look, if you go through coaches that came out of the college ranks and tied them to players that they coached or recruited, it's not that long of a list. You'd be surprised at how many guys don't really do that. I mean, and every time a hire like this is made, everybody assumes they're going to do that. And the only two coaches I can think of at the top of my head that really did much of that were Butch Davis and Steve Spurrier, and neither one was good. So that's not to say Monroe Freeling isn't a good player, but the question I have is Monroe Freeling a good player because he tested really well, or is he a good player because everybody just thinks he's a really good player? Because up until this point, and I've been familiar with him, I thought he was more in the second first-round pick conversation, maybe up a little bit. Maui Noah and Spencer Fano were the conversation, and all of a sudden those guys seem to have died over the week, which is interesting. What changed? So maybe that's the best direction for them to go. And offensive line is different because it's such an eye of the beholder position, and there's no stats for you to really look at with those guys. So a lot of it is projection and trying to understand where a guy is now versus where he's going to be in several years. Still, I think part of the reason you're sort of hedging with talking about trading down is because you don't think he's necessarily the 6th best player in the draft, and you don't think he's necessarily the top tackle in the draft, and you want to get something else to make it a little bit easier. Plus, there's also a guy like Caleb Lomu, who is also a really talented left tackle, great athlete, and another guy like Monroe Freeling, where I think most people are sort of thinking he's maybe a year away from being what he's supposed to be in terms of how good he can be. And if you do rank those guys very similarly, and you sort of trade down and you go, listen, if the worst case scenario is one of those guys gets taken, we can take the other one, that sort of can play into it. But I don't think there's a huge threat that somebody's going to take Freeling in front of you if you move down to 8.